Well, greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome back once again, or for the very first time, to the Thoughts on Corrupt Show, where today, as per usual, it's your host, Danjo, here with a random little video for you guys. Because we just had the Game Awards 2024, it was pretty good overall, I will say. However, because of the title of the video and everything else, I'm just gonna give you guys a quick little TLDR. I'm very disappointed because of this announcement. Elden Ring Nightreign is coming out 2025 at some point. That's not the disappointing part. It's a standalone game. Based on the trailer, I was very, I lost my shit. I was very, very excited. I watched the stream with some friends, and, yeah. Based on the trailer, it looked like a new Elden Ring DLC in the same vein as Shadow of the Erdtree, and after digging, after the show, and researching some stuff, that is not what it is. FromSoft already has a website for the game. That is the address at the top of the screen. And they had 2 news articles, and one was the trailer, and the other was an interview with the director, with Famitsu. So let's go to that, because that is the most direct, most official word on the game that I could find. This is the address for it, and yeah, it's completely in Japanese, by the way, so I did the auto translate thing, so some of this stuff, like the wording, may not be 100% accurate, because it's a literal translation, and translating literally, doing a literal translation from Japanese to English doesn't always carry the exact same wording that would make sense in English, but they didn't even spell Nightreign correctly. That's, yeah, all of this is auto-translated, so. And this is the title of it. It's an online cooperative survival action game, and 3 people survive for 3 days. The director talks about details in an exclusive interview with Japanese media. So, I'm just going to go through pretty much this entire thing. That's why I put a TLDR at the beginning of this. And to those of you who have been here before and familiar with the stream schedule, yes, we usually do Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays. December the 12th was a Thursday. That was the Game Awards, so I didn't do a stream. And I need to catch up with some other stuff anyway, and so, yeah, we're doing this video instead. So, yeah, if you guys were looking forward to a Thursday stream, my apologies, I was planning on doing one. And, yeah, FromSoft had to drop this bomb on us, so... So the stuff in bold is basically the interviewer asking Ishizaki about this. That's the guy who's the director for this. It's not Miyazaki, just to clarify. So this was a surprising announcement, but first please tell us about the decision to develop Elden Ring Nightreign came about. Ishizaki says, toward the end of the development of Elden Ring, Miyazaki, we all know who Miyazaki is, approached me and asked, wouldn't it be interesting to try being a director soon? I was in charge of the battles in Elden Ring at the time, and I was thinking that it would be interesting to use the battles as a base to create a game with a larger flow of battles, so I decided to do it. This game gives the impression... Oh, this is the interviewer talking again. This game gives the impression of being a kind of spin-off of Elden Ring, but it was not made into a separate work because the idea was originally based on Elden Ring. Yeah, that's not translated correctly, but you get the gist. Ishizaki says, because the game content this time will be challenging, I decided that it would be more interesting to focus resources on revamping the game design rather than creating everything from scratch. Also, when I started considering the project, I was still in the middle of developing Elden Ring, so I thought that Elden Ring had a richness that could be utilized in other games. Alright, new game cycle. And the interviewer says the teaser trailer and website have been released, but there are still some details that are not clear, you think? So please tell us a few things. This work contains elements of Elden Ring, but the gameplay is different? Yeah, yes it is. Ishizaki says, Elden Ring Nightreign is an online cooperative survival action game, in which 3 people aim to survive for 3 days. With a different game cycle than ever before, you can enjoy the robust combat that is characteristic of Elden Ring through team play. So the interviewer says, create a multiplayer session and go on an adventure with 3 people? He says yes. Ishizaki responds. Rather than calling it a mission or a stage, you choose a boss that appears on the 3rd day and challenge it with 3 people. Each day has day and night, and the area you can explore narrows as time passes. At night, a boss battle begins, marking the turning point of the day. You can clear the game by defeating the final boss that appears on the 3rd day. Interviewer asks, is cooperative play with 3 people necessary? Legit question. Ishizaki says, this game is designed to be played by 3 people. On the other hand, we have made it possible to play alone since there are people who want to enjoy the game at their own pace and depending on their mood at the time. Ultimately, we prioritize the freedom of the user to enjoy the game and we made it possible to have options. However, as I have said before, the game is designed to be played by 3 people. It's difficult enough to be challenging even with 3 people, so please bear with us on that point. As it goes on, what will the game cycle be like? Ishizaki responds, first let me explain the map. There is a vast field and there are bases and small dungeons and other elements to conquer. The placement of these is randomly changed every time you enter a session, and is fixed for that session. In the bases and dungeons, there are enemies and treasure chests, and if you defeat an enemy, you get runes, which are so-called experience points. And in the treasure chests, there are weapons and items. There are various weapons available, but their strength and combat skills are random. Strength and combat skills are random. So like, why did I want to say weapon arts? Ashes of War. During the day, you adventure, strengthen your player character, and equip yourself, and then challenge the boss at night. The cycle continues for 3 days in a game. So the interviewer asks, it seems like you can enjoy new actions in multiplayer while experiencing the Elden Ring style. Ishizaki responds, that's right. We've tried to keep the control system largely the same as Dark Souls series and Elden Ring, but the game rules have changed significantly, so I think the experience will be different from previous games. For example, when you encounter an enemy on the road, in the past it felt like a wall has appeared in front of you, but in this game it feels like I found prey to strengthen my player, let's defeat it. I think it will be a different feel to the game and I hope you enjoy it. Does the story and world setting of this game share anything with Elden Ring? Ishizaki responds, it is a parallel world. The common point is that there once was a shattering in the lands between, and the words and settings from Elden Ring appear, but other than that, it's a different story. Therefore, the mysterious settings in the story of Elden Ring will not be revealed. I did not want to distort the memories and thoughts of each user about the story of Elden Ring, so I made it a completely different story. I think that users who have played Elden Ring will feel it fresh, and conversely, even if you have never played Elden Ring at all, I think you will enjoy this work. So it's not, it's completed, so anyway, analysis, right? So it's treated completely separately. So there are elements not just from Elden Ring, but from other FromSoft, like Soulsborne games, basically. Which is why some people are pointing out some screenshots, be like, oh dude, it's a Firekeeper from Dark Souls 3, it's the Nameless King, it's like this and this and this. And yeah, there are themes and basically so many recycled assets, but some of the bosses are like new. Kinda. And then they showed like the three-headed dog thing, fighting in what looked to be similar to Radahn's beach stage, essentially, when you fight Star Scourge Radahn. And like a lot of it looked like Limgrave or various other things, but like the skybox was different. And yeah, a bunch of new skills that we haven't seen before and blah blah blah. So it's not the same. It's in like there was even like those doors that required like the forbidden key, I think, in Dark Souls 2. Some other elements, there was like a basilisk looking sorcerer kind of enemy. Anyway, back to the actual thing. So, interviewer says, so does that mean the player character in this work is not a fated person, tarnished? Ishizaki says, yes, that's right. The warriors who appear in this game are called Yoruwatari. Yoruwatari, I guess? Something like that. Players can use 8 characters of fixed names and appearances. So you don't create your own character. They are preset characters. Each character is tied to something like a class and has different characteristics. So you kind of think like the starting classes of Elden Ring, how they're like kind of presets. If you want to go with those kind of things, these are probably similar to that, but a lot more versatile and like viable for like late game kind of stuff. So anyway, Ishizaki continues. Originally I wanted to make this a game that you can play immediately after getting the game, so I made the characters fixed. However, in order to inherit one of the attractive elements of Elden Ring, that is, the goodness of being able to enjoy various character builds, each character has elements such as skills that demonstrate special abilities and arts that are like so-called special moves. Okay. Each character has a very different feel to help you enjoy using them in various ways. Interviewer goes on to say, Elden Ring also has battle techniques and the like, but it incorporates a pretty bold system. I guess they mean Ashes of War. Ishizaki responds, we believe in choosing how to fight is one of the best parts of an action game. We believe that systems such as skills and arts will fit well with the action nature of Elden Ring, so we've incorporated them. Interviewer goes on to say, the characters have a certain Elden Ring vibe to them, but in a way they have a classic fantasy design. Ishizaki responds, since there will be a lineup of new characters, we are conscious of making them easy to get into. We wanted to create a design that has the atmosphere of Elden Ring, but is very different from the fated people, the Tarnished, and can be accepted as the protagonist of the game. Each character has some determined performance. Oh, as like a preset character, they have, things that they're going to be proficient at. And their initial equipment, skills, and arts are fixed, but we want you to be able to choose what you like at a glance. This also comes from the idea of wanting you to play the game right away. So each character is the protagonist. Do each of these Nightwalkers, I guess that's the rough translation of like the title he said instead of Tarnished, have a set name? Yes, when I say names, I mean class to character, class equivalent, class equals character name. Like tracker. Each character has a little story, and there are elements that tell you what kind of person they were, what they will gain from the end of the battle, and so something. Oh, I guess that was pretty much done. But okay, yeah, presets. We all get it by this point. Will any of the strong enemies that appeared in Elden Ring make an appearance? So, yes, the enemies during the day are basically the enemies from Elden Ring. The bosses from Elden Ring will also appear, but not all of them. And this is part of the point that kind of bothers me with this. If it seems like, based on the trailer, it seems like the starting area is essentially Limgrave. Most of the basic enemies in Limgrave are complete pushovers. And like, I mean, there's a few here and there that you kind of have to like dig to find. Like there are like the death birds. That would be interesting. But like if it's just a bunch of like wandering nobles kind of thing, or like demi-humans and shit, like I saw they did show like a Zamor thing which was in Limgrave seemingly, which is completely out of place when they're in the mountaintops of the giants. So again, narratively it's completely different. Like it doesn't, but if those kind of it bothered me because like canonically that's like narrative dissonance. Like, hey, this shouldn't be here. Like, but it is. And so if you care about those kind of things and continuity, like, which I definitely do, like, anyway. But not all of them. Of course, Morgott is going to be, or Margit, whatever, is going to be on there. Like, he was in the freaking trailer, like, narrating some crap. In particular, the demigods are strongly connected to the story of Elden Ring, so I'll keep it a secret from here on out. Right. So there's going to be a few of the demigods returning as some of the bosses, for sure. It doesn't mean they won't appear at all. Also, enemies from the Dark Souls series will appear, but only a little. In terms of the setting, they are drawn from another world due to their influence of the King of Night, an original villain. In Elden Ring Nightreign, we value the sense of chaos that brings things that... we value the sense of chaos that various things attack at night. Oh, like in the base game, how like some enemies only show up at night, like the Night Cavalry and the Death Birds, and probably what they meant there. It's again auto-translate, so in that sense I thought it would be interesting to have enemies from another world appear, so I got permission from Miyazaki and Tanimura, the director of Dark Souls 2, and decided to have them appear. Please tell us... oh, this is the interviewer again. Please tell us why you decided on the flow of the game to survive 3 days and defeat the boss. Shizaki responds, this is a game where you play cooperatively online, but we wanted to value elements that allow you to play slowly, like in the Dark Souls series and Elden Ring. Also, as mentioned earlier, we wanted to make it something that players can play immediately, and to overcome the barriers between players in terms of game progress. So we came up with the direction of doing everything you can within the time limit to challenge the enemy. So you can't take your time with it. And to value elements that allow you to play slowly. within the time limit to challenge the enemy. Okay, maybe the translation is missing something? Anyway, we have the image of making it a night theme, so as the time passes from day to night, a powerful boss appears, and the game moves closer to the climax. And when you survive for 3 days, and then you survive for 3 days. This was just right for one session of experience. Again, okay. I'll save most of my thoughts and stuff for the end of this video, but okay, the interviewer goes on. Elden Ring is a game where you progress steadily, but Elden Ring Nightreign is a game that makes use of that element while realizing a speedy strategy. And Ishizaki continues, how should I advance through the field? How should I defeat the enemy? I think the fun of thinking about various things as you progress through the game has been inherited from Elden Ring. We call it a short RPG within the development team, and we aim to create a dense game that condenses the fundamental fun of RPGs, such as exploration, character growth, and battles with strong enemies into one mission. Okay, doesn't sound like it, but okay. Interviewer goes on. It seems like there is a wide range of strategies to conquer, but it seems like you'll have to worry about whether you should move together with your allies in the field or whether you should spread out. Ishizaki responds, we place importance on each user being free to play according to their own style. It's fine to work alone, searching for items and leveling up, to avoid pinches by acting as a companion, or to gather only when it's time to capture a base. We leave it up to the player's choices. Even if each person plays as a lone wolf, they will always gather together to fight the boss that appears at night. It may happen that an ally who is completely out of sight during the day appears in a very strong state at night, laughs. Oh, like they disappeared for a while, they weren't sure where they were, and then came back and were stronger because they found something in their exploration that... okay. Also, the runes obtained when defeating an enemy are given to each member of the party. Oh, so everybody shares runes. Well, that's kind of cool. So even if you fight without cooperating, the whole party will benefit in the end. That's okay. It's kind of cool. Let's see. Next, interviewer goes on. It's fine to go to a place with a good view together, or to go through a dungeon even though it may take some time, or to split up and proceed. Choosing the route is also one way to play. Ishizaki says that's right. There are places where there are mid-bosses that you can defeat to get powerful items, but they are still tough. Okay. I mean, that's kind of cool. You can, like, sidetrack to go fight a mid-boss kind of a thing to get something kind of better. I want you to avoid them or challenge them as you like. Okay. Interviewer goes on. From what I saw in the trailer, the field has an atmosphere similar to Limgrave in Elden Ring. Ishizaki responds, the atmosphere of the field has not been changed much from Elden Ring, but it is not exactly the same, and it has been arranged to be like this work. Right. It's similar, but not exactly the same. Also, there may be some surprising mechanisms in the field. Interviewer goes on, I'm looking forward to that. Is there a day and nighttime setting, and at night a boss appears, but what happens if you lose to the boss? Ishizaki continues, the challenge for that session will be considered a failure, and the player will be returned to the hidden round table, the player's base. During the day, when HP reaches 0, the player will be on the brink of death, and if a certain amount of time passes in that state, they will die and respawn. However, during the night, if all 3 players are on the brink of death, the game is over. So what about during the day, if all 3 players are on the brink of death? If they are on the brink of death, other players can rescue them, so even if one person survives, there is a chance of victory. Yeah, that's... I mean, that seems like the important part. As long as there's one remaining person that can revive the other 2, you're okay. Or if, as long as there's one person that's okay, the others will respawn? Come on, during... Okay. The player will be trying to hit and take the player, but at the end of the day, HP is 0, the player will be on the brink of death. A certain amount of time passes, they will die and respawn. During the night, if all 3, the game is over. They're on the brink of death, other players can rescue, so only one person survives. Chance of victory. I mean, I get the gist of it, but they're... Yeah. Can you rescue a dying ally? Yes, that's kind of what he just said. Yes, you can rescue a dying ally by hitting them with multiple attacks. In other words, you hit a fallen ally to save them. That seems kind of... Really? Okay. You can rescue allies from a long distance using a bow or magic, and you can rescue multiple allies at once with an area attack. Since the performance of attack actions leads to rescue, I think you can enjoy a wider range of play. I see. There is an element of rescuing allies, but due to the game's specifications, it seems difficult to play in a die-and-learn style. When you are defeated by the enemy multiple times and try again. Oh, because that's how so many people play Soulsborne games. As you die, you come back, you use what you learned and try again, and there's a very little penalty, and you can usually get your shit back. So they're saying, since this one actually has like a game over condition of like dying and respawning, like it seems like you kinda, yeah, it seems harder in a way. Ishizaki responds, that may be the case for bosses that appear at night. The fact that you can't retry bosses in short cycles is a new attempt for us, and it's also something we're challenging ourselves with. So it sounds like they might actually make them easier? Okay. On the other hand, in this game, the field itself is the target to conquer. So as you play it over and over, you'll learn how to conquer the field by using this build against this boss and exploring the route to do so, and eventually you'll feel... Well, the route, they said, like, there's randomized stuff, though, like... So how... That seems contradictory to what they were talking about before. Anyway, I think that idea was basically done. Regarding the leveling up system, does the level itself reset after each mission? It will be reset every time you start the initial equipment on level 1. Does the initial equipment mean the weapon that the character is good at? Yeah, for the character class, right. Each character is equipped with weapons that suit their tendencies. By the way, since it's just the initial equipment, you can throw it right away. Interviewer continues, of course, I think the performance will be different depending on the weapon you pick up, but does that mean the attack power will be different? Ishizaki responds, there are 3 main points about weapons. First, the attack power is different. Naturally, the higher the power, the greater the damage you will deal to enemies, right? The other is the combat technique, which was also in Elden Ring, so they mean Ash of War. Finally, there are additional effects. For example, there are buffs such as increased attack power of X attribute, and increased cut rate, as well as unique effects such as magic bullets are generated on the spot when dashing. But are those randomized? I'm assuming they will be. Most of these additional effects are effective just by having them in your inventory, so if you open a treasure chest and find a bow, you may not intend to use the bow, but you might want to keep it because the additional effect is attractive. Well, why would you get rid of it? You can stack the additional effects one by one, which is one of the unique pleasures of this game. Okay. Interviewer continues, is the equipment basically from Elden Ring? Ishizaki says that's right, however the performance itself has been significantly improved to match the game's characteristics, but they tend to be more powerful than in Elden Ring. Consumable items in particular are quite different. For example, the flame pot explodes more spectacularly, so it has the potential to scatter a group of people like a grenade. Okay. Next section of the interview is called Communication is a Loose Connection. And the interviewer continues, how do you communicate with players? Ishizaki responds, as in the Dark Souls series and Elden Ring, we want to value the loose connection that allows players to play freely at their own pace without the need for excessive communication, which is a characteristic of the online elements in our previous works, and this work is developed with that idea in mind. There is no text chat or stamps. Basically, communication is done with pings and gestures. The pings thing is new. Of course, you are free to use external voice chat tools and enjoy the game. Right? As for pings, you can let the whole party know that you are going there by pointing a pin on the map. You can also point pins on items that have fallen, so you can let them know that there is a good item here. You're aiming for communication that does not force other players to do anything. Okay. The interviewer continues, from what you've said so far, it seems like this work is worthy of the expression short RPG, and it seems that you can enjoy surprises and discoveries like Elden Ring every time randomly in a solid battle. Ishizaki responds, that is exactly what this game is aiming for. Same thing. Places where you can find items change each time you play. Right, so how is the pathing thing, whatever. You may encounter a powerful weapon in an unexpected place, or you may reunite with a weapon you used in Elden Ring, and you can enjoy a fresh and unexpected play every time. I think that each player's own drama will be born, and you will be able to enjoy an experience that is only possible with the help of your companions, and I hope that will be the case. The interviewer continues, and once you've survived the 3 days, you will return to base. I understand that you cannot take your equipment home with you, but is there anything you can take home with you? Ishizaki responds, at the end of each session, you can take home a reward called marks, a currency that can only be used within the base, and equipment called relics. What kind of equipment are relics? The interviewer asks. Ishizaki responds, if you're familiar with it, it may be easier to imagine the Bloodstone from Bloodborne. Or the English for that is actually blood gems. But yes, relics are things that give characteristics passive abilities. Each character has a pedestal on which they can set relics, and they can equip relics that fit the pedestal. Okay. The pedestal itself can be changed by purchasing it with marks. Okay. The effects of relics vary, but they range from simple stat boost to strengthening character skills, arts, and normal actions. Customization using relics will greatly change the way you play. Interviewer asks, how long does one session last? Ishizaki responds, it depends on how much time you spend in the boss battle. The daytime hours are fixed, so it's estimated that it will take about 40 minutes to clear the third day. Of course, if you are wiped out on the first day, the playtime will be shorter. "40 minutes. Interviewer continues, by the way, are there any PvP elements? Ishizaki responds, not in this game. In order to emphasize the experience of 3 people somehow overcoming a large number of challenging situations, the only online element is cooperative play. There is no intrusion by other players. Interviewer continues, please tell us the reason for naming this game Elden Ring Nightreign. Ishizaki responds, Reign means domination, so we decided on a straightforward title that evokes the idea of domination of the night. The sound of rain also connects to the reign of rain. In this game, the field area narrows over time and the rain is what determines that range. We wanted to give the impression of the gameplay. Interviewer continues, I am going to ask a mean question, but some people may see this game as a multiplayer game using materials from Elden Ring. What do you think about that? That doesn't seem mean at all, but maybe the auto-translate, I don't know. Ishizaki responds, the basic premise of this title is that we started out with the idea of making a game that could only be made with the base of Elden Ring. Because of this base, we were able to focus on revamping the game design, expanding the action, and adding 8 characters with different personalities and 8 bosses that pose new threats. I think you can get a glimpse of this in the trailer, but when you actually play it, you'll find a unique flavor that is very different from Elden Ring and our previous titles. I hope you'll look forward to this freshness. Yeah. 8 characters, 8 bosses. 40 minutes. Granted, that's for one cycle. And yes, this is the music from Armored Core 6. Why? Because I was very much hoping for confirmation of Armored Core 6 DLC in the Game Awards. That didn't happen. I think it's still happening because of the SteamDB updates that have been happening. I wanted to mention that in this video real quick because Armored Core fans are pretty sure it's happening, and I think it is. And honestly, the Game Awards is not the only thing, like, for 2024. Granted, Tokyo Game Show already happened, Gamescom already happened, and the Game Awards already happened. And we usually hear the big announcements at one of those 3. However, From Software's first game, Kingsfield, came out in 1994. December 16th, I believe? 1994? Which, in a few days, that will be 30 years ago, to the date. FromSoft has been around longer than that, but they used to just make basic software or something? I'm unsure. But essentially, they've been a game developer since Kingsfield. I still believe they might do some surprise announcement for their 30th anniversary of Kingsfield, their first game. I don't know. We'll see. Personally, I find this news very disappointing. Like, it sounds pretty cool, honestly. But the reason I love Soulsborne games and like Elden Ring and, you know, Sekiro and Bloodborne and Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 and Demon Souls, there's a sense of progression, and part of that is learning the levels, learning the game, the bosses, working on your character over time, getting defeated, coming back stronger, and eventually triumph. And that's a process. And because of this trailer that they put out for the Game Awards, which I saw out of context, I really thought it was a new DLC for Elden Ring. I was super excited that they were essentially doing a new chapter, hopefully after Shadow of the Erd Tree. And even just the name Nightreign, it's oh, this is after spoilers. So yeah, Nightreign would be a perfectly fine name for that. You know, it seems strange, but that would be a great way to do like some fan service and reuse some assets while bringing in like people. You know, it could have been incredible. Like new Ashes of War, new expansions on the underutilized new weapons categories that they added in Shadow of the Erdtree. Like they could flesh it out so well and maybe even tie it into the base game and finally, you know, do that instead of the DLC having no bearing on the base game at all. It's. And like by saying no bearing, I mean like it doesn't change anything in the base game. Like that would have been cool. Like, oh, if you do this in Shadow of the Erdtree or Nightreign and come back to the base game and interact with like the thing, then you have something new. It's like, no, it's completely separate. Like it may as well be its own game. Like that's why I was kind of torn about Shadow of the Erdtree, like being eligible for being side by side, being treated like a full game next to games that were full games. It's like, well, it's an expansion. It's not like it almost may as well be its own game, but still it carries over. Like you can carry over stuff from the base game into the DLC and vice versa from the DLC into your next run through the base game. Like they don't change anything about either, but it's, you know, it's still not a standalone game. And yeah, like Dark Souls 3 had 2 DLCs, Dark Souls 2 had 3 DLCs. Like it's not very common. Like Dark Souls 1 and Bloodborne each had 1 DLC. Like, and granted, Shadow of the Erdtree is the largest single DLC they've ever done. And I wasn't expecting something on that scope, on that scale. But still, adding a DLC is a lot less intensive, you know, than like a whole new game. And there are certain things that are a given with the DLC. Like they're going to be reusing assets, obviously. They're, you know, it's going to be a new map with a lot of like reused assets, and there's going to be some new stuff, obviously. But like it's your same character, it's, you know, a lot of stuff is going to carry over. They're just adding more things into the thing, along with like new mechanics and story and music and, you know, lots of stuff. So the fact that this is a completely separate game that is not even like, I get it. Elden Ring is their most successful game ever, and trying to capitalize on that, like, good for them. Cool. But I don't think this is the way to do it. Like, will they bring in some of the casuals maybe that picked up the Elden Ring and was excited about it and quit? Probably. Or some of the 20 million people who bought Elden Ring but didn't buy Shadow of the Erdtree? Possibly. There's a good chance. And it's not... It's just disappointing. Like, being so hyped and so amped up for this. Being like, okay, cool, we're finally getting the third part, and it's gonna like wrap things up in a satisfying way this time. It will be after Shadow of the Erdtree, supposedly. It would be kinda cool. No, actually, no, I take that back. I was gonna say it would be kinda cool if they did it like in between. Like it's meant to be done like before Shadow of the Erdtree, but then I was like, no, post. Like, if they did a post Shadow of the Erdtree like DLC, that'd be dope. But even in the interview too, they talked about like, and again, it's auto translate, but like Miyazaki, and based on other things we've heard from people and from software, usually refer to Elden Ring's development as like something in the past. So it's possible they are just like done with Elden Ring development. And that was the other part, like the other reason this was so disappointing, because I was like so sure that they weren't done with it. And when you have a hit on your hands like that, like your most successful thing ever, I feel like just cutting it off and be like, oh, here's a new thing. We hope you like it. I think Nightreign is more of a risk than if it was a DLC for the game. That would revitalize some things. Like, and I feel like that's kind of the consensus right now from what I've heard from other people who actually also did some digging and was like, oh, hey, you know, this actually is like a completely separate game. Because right now, like, there are tons of people who are not clear on that point. It's like, yeah, you have to do some digging around a little bit, like go to their actual website, go to the actual, you know, director interview, like, hopefully you've read through some like literal Japanese to English translations before, and you know none of that's a barrier for you. Or Japanese to whatever language you speak. It doesn't matter. Like, it's it's disappointing. Like, I'm not surprised. Like, I'm not that surprised. But having those hopes like restoked and then immediately doused, just feels soul crushing. Like, without a new mainline thing on the horizon, like if they would just confirm, I don't care what it is, like new Armored Core something, or like Dark Souls 4, whatever, like something. Because Nightreign is not it. Because seriously, like 40 minutes in a loop, and what, 8 preset characters, 8 bosses, and like so much shit randomized. Like, I hate that. I hate that sort of thing. Like, I'm sure it'll be fun, but a glimpse of something that I thought it was, and then finding out, no, it's actually something that's completely different. It's yeah. It's annoying, it hurts, and yeah. I feel like that animation in like Dark Souls 2 when you pop like a soul or a life gem and it's just except you don't get anything from it. But it's fine. It's fine. First Berserker Kazan is coming out late March 2025. That game looks very promising, and should fill that hole in my heart. And we got Monster Hunter Wilds coming out like again early 2025. I can't remember the exact date, like February or something. And that's gonna be amazing. Like, Capcom has been killing it lately, and that Onimusha trailer at the Game Awards, like, best trailer out of all of them. Like, Ninja Gaiden looked sick too. Like, And I don't know. Fumito Ueda. I'm not sure how to pronounce his first name. Team Ico. Like, they had a teaser trailer. It's like 1 minute of like nothing sauce. And that might be cool when we finally learn more. Who knows? The Last Guardian was massively disappointing, and I still haven't beat that game because what was his name? Trico or something? The AI bullshit creature that was so fucking cute, but yeah. You have to use him for the puzzle solving to advance in the game, and he just doesn't fucking work correctly, like, a large portion of the time. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Like, I'm hoping it's more Shadow of the Colossus, like, and less The Last Guardian, like. Because Shadow of the Colossus is one of my favorite games of all time. That is a game I bought, like, what, 3 times now? 4 times? Yeah, 4 times. Twice on PS2, because my first copy was, yeah, I had to rebuy it, and then once on PS3, and then the PS4 remake, yeah, 4 times. And yeah, one of the greats, man. And here's hoping. I'm really hoping we get some Armored Core 6 news before the end of the year, which, yeah, I know there's not a lot of time, like 2.5 weeks, but it's very possible. FromSoft is definitely busy, and they revealed one thing, and Miyazaki confirmed they have multiple projects in the works. I think he even said, like, some of which are, like, sooner than some fans might be expecting. They're being unnecessarily tight-lipped right now, which is kind of bothering me, but I'm pretty sure one of those things is Armored Core 6 DLC, so here's hoping. And honestly, I think they might even, reveal maybe not Armored Core 6 DLC, but one more thing for their 30th anniversary on, I believe it's the 16th. I'm pretty sure. Almost positive. And just for the sake of accuracy, I'm going to find out for sure right now because I have this bookmarked. And yeah, December 16th. So that is on Monday. And yeah, Monday would be a little weird to announce something, but it's the 30th anniversary of Kingsfield, so I think it's very possible. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought about all this. Did you watch the Game Awards? Did you enjoy it? What was your favorite announcement? Did you think Elden Ring Nightreign was going to be part of Elden Ring? Because I sure did. Like, the logo for the game paints it pretty clearly to be part of Elden Ring, like, it, but no, it's just in the same intellectual property as Elden Ring. Which I really think they should have clarified in the trailer based on the world of Elden Ring. Is that so hard to say? So you're not, like, confusing your fan base? Which is now larger than ever before, FromSoft. I don't know if you guys knew this. Anyway, some sarcasm. But thank you once again for being here, guys. Till next time. Before till next time, it is time once again for the other thing. That's not the right thing. It's time once again for the outro. Sorry, I was trying to end the episode preemptively, and I didn't mean to do that. It's not even an episode of anything, the video. Yeah, a very special thank you going out to the amazing people who make it possible. Novelis Draconis and Aaron Schick, thank you so much for choosing to support the show a bit more directly via channel membership. It vastly helps out. Very much appreciate it. And if you guys want to be incredibly awesome like these amazing people and get in on all those membership benefits, check out that join button down below. There's also a link in the description that talks about becoming a channel member in case there's no join button for you. I've heard that happens. Membership tiers start at $3 a month. It's only 10 cents a day, gets you into all the basic stuff, including getting to vote on the series that get made here on the channel via the Members' Choice Polls. It's a thing we do once a month for a full 7 days over on the Membership tab, and that is how all the series get decided. So, we have the one for December coming up. It's going to be in the back half of the month. Don't know when exactly, it depends on how some of the other scheduling stuff goes. It might end up being the last week of the month, once again, as it was in October and November. These are 2024 months, by the way. And, but yeah, I'll have a future announcement on that, because this is an approximation of future announcements from the past. So if you guys want all the announcements as they happen and the bell doesn't work for you, I totally get it. The bell doesn't work for me either, but there's 4 other ways. 4 other ways you guys can stay up to date. There's the community tab, the Farts and Crap Show Twitter, the Bluesky, or the Discord. I always post on all 4 whenever there's an announcement, so regardless of which one of those works for you, you can stay up to date. And links for those are down in the description, also on the channel banner, but that is going to do it for today. Sorry, I almost forgot to do the outro. My bad. And yeah, this video is going to be going out as soon as possible because, again, kind of time sensitive. But yeah, thanks for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed, and till next time, take care, and I hope you all have an incredible day.